There we go. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Julian Dodsey, Procurement Specialist with ADB. I've been with ADB for about 9 years. I've been doing this session at the BOF for several years. It's always a well-received session because this is the session where we take you into the website and show you precisely where to find ADB's many business opportunities, our country strategies, our procurement plans, our sector strategies, and the like. So if you're new to ADB or newer to ADB or to the development space, you'll find our website to be a great source of information. Unlike many companies and other parts of the world where things aren't necessarily always public, in the space of public sector organizations like ADB, everything we do is on our website, okay? As staff, when I want to find something, I put it in Google and I look it on our website. I don't go into an intranet because actually our website is better than our intranet. So anything I want to find as a staff member, I also look on our website. So I think you can be having some degree of assurance and confidence that what you need to find when you do business with ADB, when you want to identify possible partnership or consulting or opportunities for delivery of goods, works, or services, you will find it on our website, okay? Now, I don't work for the Department of Communications. I didn't build the website. I work in the procurement department, but for whatever reason, this is the session I've been doing every year, and so I kind of know how the website works by now, and I hope I can take you through it adequately in the hour that we have together this afternoon, okay? And if you do have questions as I go, feel free to shoot your hand up, and I can invite you to come to the microphone because I'll be going kind of page by page. So if you have a question about a particular page we're on, feel free to jump up and ask your question before I go on to the next page. Otherwise, you might forget what you want to say by the end of the session. We'll focus mainly today on adb.org. If you stay in this room after the coffee break, there's a separate session on ADB's consultant management system, the CMS, okay? So I won't be doing too much on CMS in this session because, battery? No, it's good. Because there's a separate session on CMS. And if you've signed up and you have your confirmation slip, I'm also doing a separate session tomorrow in the training on the going deeper into CMS on the standard request for proposals template for consultants and preparing your bids and proposals specifically for consultants. Okay, so if you manage to register for that training session, I understand the training is full now, so if you didn't, tough luck, maybe next year. But if you did, then you get to benefit from that tomorrow as well. Okay, so today, adb.org. And we'll start on the front page. As you can see, there's our shining president meeting an Australian. I should probably know. Oh, okay, he's the prime minister. Okay. So, anyways, this is our website. There's a lot of stuff on the front page already. Of course, as you might imagine, we're here. Obviously, the purpose of this fair is to find the money, right? Find the opportunities to work together with ADB. And so that's what I'm going to be focusing on through this session with you. If this was a conference for bond investors or for research economists or researchers who might be looking at other parts of the website, but mostly today we'll be zeroing in on this page over here called Work With Us. Okay. What I also suggest is why don't you pull out your cell phones, and you can also follow along if you'd like on your own cell phone so that you can see, and you can actually start clicking into some of these things as we go as well. It might, they say you have to do something to learn it. So if you actually are clicking around the pages as I talk, you're also learning more than if you're just listening to me drone on after a carb-heavy lunch and you want to fall asleep, right? So hopefully I can keep this a little bit more entertaining in that regard. Okay, before we get to the meat of it with Work For Us, let me just try and flag a few other bits of interesting content on our website. So, of course, if you're brand new to ADB, if this is your first year here, then you should definitely start with who we are, because multilateral development banks are unique institutions. They are not the UN, they are not Tesla, they are not the government of New Zealand. They are a unique entity, and they have unique legal and institutional role in the world, and you need to understand how we work if you want to work with us. Of course, this is not unique to MDBs. If you want to work for Tesla, you should also understand Tesla's place in the market. But for an MDB, you're here trying to work with us, so you should understand the charter of ADB, for example, the membership of ADB. You can look at some of these information through this Who We Are page, okay? So overview, when we were formed, the membership. So let's just click into some of these just to show you that they exist. Since our establishment in 1966, we've now grown to 69 member countries. You can see the list of them here and when they joined. And generally, when it comes to procurement opportunities with ADB, ADB is one of the MDBs. Well, thank you. This is not the time for this survey. How would you rate you? Well, obviously above average because I'm giving you okay, thank you. Go away, please. Oh, come on. I'm in the middle of a BOF session. Thank you. Let's see what the communications people do with that one. Okay, please. There's no even an X on it. I'm not selling it very well, am I? Okay, thanks, SurveyMonkey. Appreciate it. Where's the X? This is I might just have to refresh the page. Yeah, there we go. Okay, well, that was funny. So the thing I was trying to say before I got rudely interrupted is that most of our procurement as ADB is reserved for our member countries, okay? So if you happen to be from Russia and you're sitting in the audience, with my profound apologies, you are not eligible to work with ADB. So generally, there are some exceptions, okay? There are some projects, co-financed projects, for example, where we finance alongside another development organization, where the board of directors, when approving the project, will allow the universal eligibility of consultants to bid, or contractors, to bid on the procurement packages in that project. But by and large, the 69 member countries of ADB are the ones that are eligible to compete for procurement opportunities, okay? So that means you should be, and your firm should be from one of these countries, and hopefully you are. When it comes to individuals within a firm, we get this question quite a lot, and we changed this rule about 7 or 8 years ago. The individuals in a firm's team don't have to be from a member country, okay? So you can have a Russian expert in your team if your firm is established in the US or in Canada or one of these countries, for example. So that's allowed, but you as an individual consultant competing for an individual consultancy assignment can't be a Russian, for example, okay? So we do allow some flexibility when it comes to the teams of firms, but not when it comes to individual experts, okay? So anyways, you can find out about some of these information, our annual reports, this sort of thing. I mean, the annual report is a useful document to read because you can learn more about, our regional, our portfolio size by region, our overall portfolio size, some of our sort of key highlights from the year. This is a useful place to get started in learning about learning about ADB as an institution and your journey with ADB. Of course, if you come down here to the policies and strategies section, you may have heard some previous speakers talk about our corporate strategy. It's a few years old now, but it's, of course, still the strategy that's governing us, Strategy 2030, again, setting the tone and the direction for us as a development bank up until 2030 in terms of where we're active, what we're financing, what we're doing. There have been some changes. There's been a midterm review, which you can also read about here, but this is the, approved by our board of directors, the kind of strategy that governs the bank, okay? Otherwise, on this Who We Are page, you can see how we've got this is a list of some of the memorandum of agreements, our memorandums of understanding we've signed with other international organizations. So in some cases, these might be useful for you to understand if you're helping, for example, to design a project as a consultant with one of these, as a co-financing with one of these other entities. You can find the signed MOUs down here as well. You'll see these partnership strategies, of course, a very important part of doing business with ADB, but I'll get to that later, okay? So you can find it here, but you can also find it on other parts of our website. So don't worry that I'm glossing over that for now. Otherwise, on the Who We Are page, what else is useful? Annual meetings. Of course, if you happen to be in Uzbekistan next year, where I'm actually posted these days, I flew in for this event, but I'm based in Tashkent these days. You may know that the next annual meeting of ADB will be in Samarkand in 2026 in May. And so if you do have reason to be invited to the annual meeting, which is less useful, I would say, for consultants than this event. I mean, it's more the annual meeting of the Board of Governors, all the sort of ministers of finance are there, they approve our budget. But sometimes companies attend for various reasons, and if you happen to have a record of going to these events, then I invite you to consider joining us in Samarkand. You have to apply to be invited, but you can find the information on that here. Of course, if you would like to learn more about our actual management team and our country office teams, you can also find that on this page. This can be useful, for example, particularly when it comes to the country offices and learning about, the people involved. We talk a lot about in this event about network, and both at a country level and at a sector theme. I mean, I wouldn't recommend, sending a cold call email to our president or to our vice presidents because they're busy people. But of course, if you're in the water sector and you would like to know who's working in the water sector at management level anyways, we do provide, email forms for you to contact the various directors of our departments through our website. And these aren't their actual email addresses, right? I mean, if you want to contact Manoj Sharma, for example, it's an email form. But, if you send this through, Manoj will get your form and will consider your message accordingly. Of course, I would like to, underscore, italicize, highlight, apostrophe, no solicitations, please. Keep it professional. But we do provide this contact form functionality for you to reach out to the various individuals with whom you may be interested in networking. Again, these are directors, they're busy people. They're not staff like me, lower level folks. So again, respect their time and they'll try and respect your time as well, okay? So that's a useful part of who we are as well. But you can also find the contact information of our country offices. So let's say you're planning a mission to India and you would like to know, where is our office in India? How can I contact them? So again, you can find the contact information through this page, but you can also, let's, for example, it'll show you, for example, let's continue the India case. So here it says South Asia Department, right? These are the key people, the Director General. But if you want to see the India team, you can click on India. And what you'll see is that jumps over then to the Where We Work page. So, I mean, we were going to get there in a minute, but here we are anyways. And now we're into India. And on India, of course, I'll talk about all this in a minute, but you can scroll down to the bottom and find the contact information for the Indian office, okay? And that's in Delhi, of course. You can see their office hours, their phone number, their Facebook page. I mean, we still have a fax number. I don't think anyone uses fax anymore, but anyway, you can see the country director. They also, each country office has its own holidays, so that's also useful to bear in mind because sometimes it may be a holiday in Manila, but not a holiday in India or vice versa. And of course, you can reach out to them and ask them for a meeting if you'd like to come and present your credentials to them, or maybe you have something you'd like to collaborate on them with. This is always a good way to help build connections with some of the key people working on our projects in the field, okay? For example, in Uzbekistan, where I'm based, nowadays, it wasn't previously like this, but nowadays there are about 10 or 12 project team leaders sitting out in Uzbekistan with me, right? And these are the people that are leading projects. They're the people who are, procuring consultants, leading the procurement of goods and works. So they're the ones you want to be meeting. I mean, there's sure plenty of project officers here in Manila as well, but don't discount our country offices. As part of our new operating model and recent corporate reorganizations, ADB is sending a lot more people out to the country offices, including project team leaders. So, if you're in these countries, let's say on a UN mission, or you're there for private sector work or whatever, and you would like to network, give it a shot, right? Try your best to have a meeting with someone in the resident office, because again, it gets your foot in the door, it helps you make connections, and helps you get known and get some name recognition by some of the people who might eventually end up hiring you, okay? Before we finish off, let me just tell you a little bit more about who we are. So, I mean, if you have other sort of not business opportunity related concerns, you can see our sort of anti-corruption stuff here, our environmental and social, our access to information, you know, things related to complaints. There's actually a parallel session going on about some of this in the other room about the complaints functionalities that we have in place in ADB, so you know you can always access some of that information here. Particularly, I mean, spend a minute on anti-corruption, because if you're working in procurement, if you're working in the buying and selling of things, then inevitably you will come across corruption one way or another. And so it's a very important and cornerstone role of ADB to enforce fairness and transparency in the procurements that we do, to the extent possible, of course. And so we do have a robust reporting and investigation function in ADB for reported fraud and corruption, okay? And this is where you can learn more about that. And there's also a session, I believe, later today in the other room that deep dives into this a bit more, that you can attend and learn more about that, okay? Let's move on. So now what we do page, this is getting into the sort of sector thematic kind of side. So if you're a real, you know, deep water person and you want to know everything we do about water, this is where you come and you go over here to water and you read to your heart's content about our projects and our reports and, you know, our statistics that we generate and everything else. So each sector in ADB has a similar sort of structured page like this: health, governance, climate change. This is also where you access, for example, we have a large team of economists in ADB that prepare the sort of GDP projections of our different countries each year. They provide various data and statistics. There's a blog. So, you know, all the knowledge work of ADB is available on this What We Do page of the website, okay? Again, there's also a cross-link to our business opportunities, but we'll deal with that in a minute when we get to work with us. So, you know, this is, again, there's also, for if you're an NGO, there's another session on NGOs later today. Again, this is a place you can learn, for example, about ADB's work with NGOs and how, as an NGO, you can do business with ADB. I won't spend a lot of time on that because, again, there's a separate session this afternoon for NGOs, but just as an example. So if this was a different event, for example, if this was the Economists Forum, we'd spend all day here. But it's not, it's the Business Opportunities Forum. So, you know, I'll leave this with you, but I won't spend a lot of time on it because, of course, you know your sector and you then can read to your heart's content in this relevant area. The next one is where we work. And this is also, as you can imagine, pretty self-explanatory. We already saw it in the India example, but we split our countries by region. So they may not be the same regions that you think of in other ways we split the world sometimes, but this is how ADB splits its world. So you'll see our different borrowing and regional countries listed under these subtabs here. And you can click into any one of them and learn more about our operations. So given that I'm sitting in Uzbekistan, let's use that as an example. And you can see everything there is about ADB's work in Uzbekistan, recent blogs, policy briefs, and there's a drop-down thing here, a fact sheet, for example, statistics of our projects. You can see we have quite a big portfolio in this country, a lot of sovereign projects going on. You can see our economic forecasts. You can see, this is, of course, an important bit, is the projects themselves, the approved and proposed. So you can find them here, sorted for you, already filtered by country. Or in a minute, you'll see we can just go to the master list of projects over here under Work With Us. You'll see much of the website basically cross-links to each other. So one page takes you to the other page and vice versa. So you'll never really get lost because, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to reach the same information through our website. Again, you can see our office, our recent events, and the like, okay? So, again, you can, otherwise here, another perhaps interesting thing is we do have representative offices. We have a recent one just opened in Paris, but also a long-standing one in Frankfurt. We have one in Tokyo, we have one in Washington, D.C., and we have sort of regional liaison offices in Singapore, in Suva, and Sydney. And of course, some regional programs that we support as well. So, if you're in the region, for example, if you're a German company in Frankfurt, why not pay our European office a visit if you'd like? And the role of these representative offices is really to work with the business community and of course with the European governments on matters of interest to ADB. So they're happy to receive you. They're happy to sort of point you onward to key people in ADB, and they can continue the conversation going with you once you leave Manila and go back to Europe or go back to Japan or North America and the like, okay? And you can see what they've been up to through these sub-pages as well. Now, let's go to where I want to spend, the most time in this session and where the money really is when it comes to the business opportunities, and that's, of course, the Work With Us page, okay? So, well, firstly, let's just rule out, if you want a job with ADB, there's a whole section, of course, with careers, but that's a separate session. So we're not here to talk about careers. We're also not here to talk about investing in ADB because we do also issue bonds that you can buy on the bond market if you're interested. We have quite a number of interesting bonds, but again, that's a separate session. That's a separate event. We're not here for that today either. What we're here for is the bottom half, okay? The information on working with ADB for and the procurement and outreach, okay? This is where all the business opportunities and all the kind of information we're discussing in this conference this week lie for you, okay? So if you're a consultant, for example, and you're new to the bank, this is a great place to start. Information on working with ADB for consultants. Why don't you just click on that link right there? And what you will see that you arrive at is a long list of sort of frequently asked questions, key documents, key procedures that can help you rapidly come up to speed with what it means to work for ADB and some of our key procurement and business process rules, okay? So, how can I become an individual ADB consultant? How can my company consult for ADB? Well, of course, you should be a legal entity. You should be incorporated in an ADB member country. You should have a bank account. You should not be barred. So, these are, of course, your standard kind of types of responses. But they help you get started. There's little videos and this sort of thing as well that you can help, again, get you up to speed on some of the frequently asked questions, like how do I register as a payee? How do I submit my claims? This sort of thing that are here for you to guide some of the sort of basic questions we receive all the time from companies. Once you've kind of gotten through that stage of your growth, then you want to move over here to the business opportunities section, okay? Now this has got 4 key pages to it. Let's start with this one, of course, business opportunities outreach. What this page will show you is basically a repository of all of the presentations from every business outreach session we've ever done. So if you would like to go back to the Business Opportunities Fair #1 from like 13 years ago and see a slide deck on what the opportunities were back then, it's here. And in a couple of weeks or maybe a month or so, all the slides from this event will also be here. Okay, so this page is great if you weren't able to attend a few sessions, or if if you want to find out if there are other seminars coming up in your country where you can meet ADB project teams. We advertise them all here, right? So you can see some recent ones. We had one in Vietnam, we had one in Israel, we had one in Sydney, in Fiji. So, we do quite a few each year, maybe about 30 to 50 events like this each year. This is obviously the biggest one, but we have a number of virtual events, country events, and we post them here. And if you're in country and you would like to attend, you're welcome. And if not, but you'd like to learn about the materials that were used, you can click on this archived event materials here, and you can find all those materials, right? So like I said, literally, you can go back to 2009, and you can see the slides that, my old boss's old boss presented back then, if you want to. I don't really recommend doing that, but you can if you would like to. And again, all of our seminars, for example, you can see all the seminars you've given this year. The slide decks are also here. So this one, actually, I did this one in Uzbekistan, and you can see it's here, and their resources and materials are also here for you if you were interested in that, right? And this would be a, if you perhaps were interested in the specific opportunities in Uzbekistan and you weren't able to attend, you can see those opportunities through the presentations here. So it's quite a useful archive, and I'd like to always draw your attention to it because it's there, it's for your reference. And while I'm here, if you haven't followed us on LinkedIn yet, go ahead and click on this. And obviously I'm not signed in, so I can't really have the full functionality, but just click on the ADB Business Center, follow, and then you'll be notified whenever we do have an upcoming seminar. You'll be notified about our Business Opportunities Fair, about key procurement opportunities. It's a good page to follow to keep up to date on some of the procurement side of things with ADB. Okay, so that's what you can find from this page. On the institutional procurement page, this is again a session later this afternoon. Institutional procurement for ADB means literally our buildings: taps, toilets, chairs, cafeteria, fit out, IT services. Okay, so for most of you, probably not why you're here. Some of you, it might be why you're here, but for most of you, you're working in our projects. That's operational procurement, okay? So just to distinguish those two terms. But if you are here as a local supplier, or you'd like to support our office fit-outs, for example, in our resident offices, or an HQ here, then this is where you would go to find those opportunities, okay? And again, I won't steal their thunder because they have a session later today where they'll show you this page and they'll take you through. They have a different set of rules. They have a different department. They're not even our department. So they're two totally separate teams in ADB, the corporate procurement people and the project procurement people, okay? So I won't steal their thunder. They can, if you're interested in corporate procurement, you can go to their session later today, and all of the opportunities are here on that page. But for project procurement, you want to click on operational procurement, and this is, again, where you can find our annual procurement reports. These are not the ADB annual report, these are our procurement reports, okay? And in here, you can find all of our statistics on procurement. How many consultants did we hire each year? From what countries? How many works contracts? How many goods contracts? In what countries? So it's a nice compilation of our portfolio, and it gives you some sense of the market. It gives you some sense of your competition or of your possible collaborators, because you can see who's bidding on what, for what, where. Okay, and we have several years of these reports. You can read our policy documents here. If you were in this room earlier, they were talking about sustainable procurement. You can see all of our knowledge and products and resources on sustainable procurement here. Eventually, we'll probably be putting up the merit point criteria resources here as well that we mentioned in the plenary yesterday. So all of that you can find through this page. You can also submit a procurement-related complaint here, for example, if you feel you've been treated unfairly in a bidding process. You can, again, access our LinkedIn page here. You can access CMS here. So all of that, these are our rule sets. I think it was presented yesterday, the procurement policy and regulations, again, available for you to read here. So this is like the central portal for project procurement on ADB's website. So a very good place to get started, to learn, what's the difference between QCBS and QBS and these sorts of things, right? But once you've, again, been through all that, finally, we're here to the most important bit. Of course, I saved the best for last, right? Is the projects and tenders page. This is like the master database of all of our projects, all of our project documents, procurement plans, country strategies. So this is really where you will find everything you need to do business with us. And you'll see that it's broken down. It can be a bit overwhelming at first, but let's break it down into components. So first we have 3 tabs up here, okay? Projects, documents, and tenders. You might be tempted to jump right into tenders, but let's start with projects. Why is that? Because the project is the financing envelope in which there are tenders, right? So the way ADB is a project financing bank, so first we have to get a project approved. Let's say the project is to work with the Ministry of Roads in Pakistan to build a 100-mile stretch of highway. And that project is going to be a loan approved to the government of Pakistan for $200 million. That's the project, right? Now, within that project, there might be 10 or 20 different packages, tenders, for which you could bid. There might be 10 packages for civil works, kilometers 1 through 10, kilometers 11 through 20, kilometers 21 through 30. And each one of those is a package that a road contracting firm could bid on to lay the concrete, right? Then you might have some consultancy packages, detailed design firm, number 1, gender and outreach firm, quarterly audit firm. All of those kinds of consultancy packages would also be part of the project. Then you might have supply of goods, right? You may also be putting in, let's say, toll booths, or maybe, highway signs. So maybe there's a goods package 1 for provision of highway signs, goods package 2 for provision of toll booths and automated tolling system. And again, those are packages, if your company is supplying goods, that you would bid on. And all of that is within that $200 million envelope of the project, right? So first, you want to start at the project level, right? And you want to understand where is your expertise and how do I find projects that I can, fulfill a need from that project. So let's say you work in the energy sector and you have some previous experience in Central and West Asia. So you can come here and you can search by your expertise and by your country. So we can say, let's search energy projects, for example. And if you filter just by that, all of the ADB projects working in the energy sector, 1,737 of them, will appear. But okay, that's just the beginning, because that includes old projects that are already finished. It includes projects that aren't approved yet. It includes projects across all of our member countries. So let's say, well, I only want energy projects in Azerbaijan, Armenia, and Georgia. I really want to focus my business on the Caucasus region. Okay, let's zero it in, and let's also only have sovereign projects. Non-sovereign is when ADB lends to a private company. So like we lend to a local bank, or we lend, say, to a private solar company in Indonesia. This is what's called non-sovereign. Most of what you've heard in this conference is sovereign, when we lend to our government partners, and then the government partners procure goods, works, and services. So let's focus on sovereign. And you can also, zero in by trust fund if you're only interested, for example, in French money or in Japanese money. But let's say we want everyone's money today. We don't care whose money it is as long as we can have it. And we would like, only active and proposed projects. So we're not interested in closed projects, or projects that are already finished. So now we have more filters. Let's apply those. And now we're really zeroing in, right? Because now we're down to 14 projects. That's doable from a business development perspective, isn't it? 1,700 projects is a bit of an overkill for most companies. But 14 projects, you can do that. You can have a business development person manage that, right? So you can see, okay, we've got a floating solar, a regional one. We've got, wind power in Armenia. We've got energy storage in Georgia. We've got, some of these are like small grants. Like I can tell this is just a small grant. This one, clean energy transition, railway decarbonization. So, an interesting mix. But maybe you're only in solar, for example. So you want to only zero in on the solar. Well, you can, right? So there was that solar one down here, floating solar. It's a bit old now, so this one probably has most of its procurement done. But you can click into it, and you can see more information about this project. So the overview page tells you what the project is generally, and most importantly, what people often miss is it tells you who the project team leader is. And again, you can email through the form this person and ask for information. Okay, so this can be a helpful way to identify. Maybe you have a network of some people in ADB, and you can find their projects this way, because name recognition matters, right? If they know you and you know them, there's a higher likelihood they might reply to your email, right? If you ask them some questions or if you want to get involved. This page will also, for each project, show you some basic data about the project. So in this case, for example, this is actually not a loan. I should have picked a different one. This is a technical assistance. So it's just $3 million. It's just like a project preparation grant. It will show you documents about what's been disclosed, any tenders, and any stories. Because this is a small project, there was just one consulting firm. You can see it was posted in March. It was advertised, and you can even still see, actually you can't in that case, our information is not going back that old, I guess. But let's go to a new one. What is this? Should be a loan. I think this should be a loan. Baku Metro. Yeah, this is also TA. I want to find a loan. We don't do much in the Caucasus, actually, so I probably picked a region that I should have. Is this a loan? This is a loan. Okay, so here we have, if you're in energy storage and you want to work in Georgia, we have this active project. Here's Mr. Adnan's project. This is a $100 million loan to the government of Georgia to develop energy storage and green hydrogen sector. Okay, so quite interesting area of work. You can see, how it's been going, what's been happening. And most importantly, you go to the documents page here and you can see key information about the project. So I would start from what's called the report and recommendation of the president. What is this? It's a word salad that doesn't mean much, but what it is basically the project management plan, okay? If you know sort of basic PMP or Prince 2 type of terminology, it's the project management plan. It's what we give to our board of directors for them to approve the project, okay? It's the budget envelope request. But it's important that you read this first because this tells you what the project is and what it will be, at least when it was conceived. So this went to the board in March earlier this year. It gives you key information like who was on the team, where is it working, what is it doing, how much money is being asked for, and it takes you through, again, the key context of the project. It takes you through what ADB will finance, what the outputs are. So in this case, 3 outputs: climate and disaster resilient battery energy storage systems installed, policy and regulatory framework for best deployment, enabling environment for green hydrogen, right? So I'm reading that, I immediately see, okay, so there's going to be some goods, some works with respect to battery energy storage, and there's going to be some consultancy, right? This policy and regulatory work, this enabling environment work, all that means services, means people to go work with the government to help set up these kinds of regulatory frameworks under the loan. So then you see, again, how much money is being approved for it, other implementing arrangements. You can see a basic summary of the agencies involved. This is important because remember, if this is borrower-administered contracting, if this is a loan to the government, then these ministries are the ones doing the procurement. ADB is overseeing the procurement. So you're signing a contract with Georgian State Electro System. You're not signing a contract with ADB, right? So the opportunities will be posted on ADB's website, but you have to apply, you have to submit your bid to Georgian State Electro System. That's who is evaluating your bids. So that's, of course, something to bear in mind. And you can find out more about that here through the project documents, okay? Now, once you've read this sort of key project management plan, one of its attachments, the most important one from our perspective here today, is the procurement plan, okay? And every project that is a loan or a grant of some degree of value will have a procurement plan posted on the website. It's supposed to be updated yearly or whenever there's a major change in the arrangements. Some teams are better or worse at that than others. We try and keep on top of them to update these things. But as you can see, this plan is relevant as of March 2025, so it's just a few months old. We can click into it and see what's coming down the pipeline in this project, okay? So we open it up, and what do we see? First, let me zoom in so you can see it a bit better. And can I get rid of this sidebar? Is there an X somewhere? That might be beyond my, there we go, okay. So Let's make it even a little bit bigger still. So again, procurement plan gives you some initial preliminary about the project, tells you what procurement methods we will be using in the project, what we've approved to use in the project, and then it immediately goes into the list of upcoming packages, okay? So in this project, look, this is package 1. Design, supply, install, commissioning of climate and disaster resilient battery energy storage system with high voltage transformer and connection. Estimated value, 118 million. Procurement method, this is where you need to learn some of your acronyms. Open competitive bidding, that means it's open competitive bidding, obviously. So anyone can bid on it. Generally speaking, it will be on the website, and any qualified and eligible supplier can submit a bid. The review, this means basically whether ADB will be reviewing it on a prior, like what is ADB's oversight on this project? And most of the time it's going to be prior. For some of our higher capacity government counterparts, it might be post, where we trust them to just go ahead and do the procurement by themselves, and we can audit it later if we want to. Otherwise, we check them at each step of the process before they proceed, okay? So it's not really relevant for you anyways. I mean, it's just, I'm telling you for your information. Bidding procedure, this is again where you need to sort of have read our regulations, but this means plant is the form of bidding documents that will be used. So we have standard bidding documents for basic civil works. This is like your FIDIC Red Book. For supply of goods, for supply of plant, this is what we call it, kind of like Yellow Book, but we don't use Yellow Book, we use the ENAA kind of equivalent contract. And then we also have we have DBO, for example, which is FIDIC Gold Book, etc. So we have different templates of bidding documents using different standard forms of contract. 1S, 1E means it's a single stage, one envelope process. That's what most of our procurement is. Some of it is 1S, 2E, two envelope, where your technical and your financial are in separate envelopes. And some of the more complex stuff is 2S, two stage, but that's not so common, I would say, in ADB. And of course, most importantly, advertisement date. When is this happening? So in this case, this one was supposed to go out in Q2 of this year. So you probably missed the boat on this one if you're interested in this particular package. But I mean, the point is you go into these procurement plans for each project you're interested in, and you look ahead and you try and see what's coming, right? And you try and see, and this is actually not a very interesting project because that's apparently the only package. Sorry, I picked the bad one. But there are a few consulting packages here anyways, which you can see. So if you were a consultant, you would scroll down and see what else is there, and there's going to be an implementation consultant for $400,000, and a couple of individual consultants, a contract management expert. So, okay, this is not the most interesting example. I can probably find a more interesting project with more packages. Let me just unclick stuff, and I'll show you a more interesting one, hopefully. Okay. No, let's unclick. Let's clear that, because again, we don't do a lot in the Caucasus, so probably that's why we're not getting the most interesting projects there. Let's do, okay, India Ring Road. This should be a big project, I guess. 166 million. But you see, it's quite early stage, so there's nothing on the website yet. They're still preparing it, so there's not a lot to be said for it yet. But if you can click, I mean, if you find ones where the approval year is 2025, they're usually in more advanced state of readiness. Some of these ones that are going to be approved next year might have documents on the website already, but if not, at least you can learn a bit about the project. And if you're in the renewable energy sector in Madhya Pradesh, you want to keep an eye on this, right? I mean, even if you can't necessarily know yet what the packages will be because they aren't disclosed, you can at least learn about the value and have a general description of the project so that you just keep an eye on it on the website. And, when something goes up here, you're ready to jump on it because you already know about the project and you want to go for it, right? But if we just go to some of these 2025 ones, there should be something coming on board soon. Let's try this one. I'm just clicking randomly. Okay, this one's got a few more documents, but no procurement plan yet. But the other way we can do it is, I haven't talked about these other two tabs yet. So if we go to the documents page, okay, You can also zero in by just searching for all procurement plans across all of our projects, right? So if I just go here and I just search procurement plan here, click that, filter. Now I've got 1,549 procurement plans available to me. And they come up in order of recency. So here we have one, the most recent one went on the website yesterday, Guizhou Guian Urbanization Transport Project. Let's see what's going on in this one. Well, it's a big project, $500 million. Okay, this should have something interesting in it. So yeah, we can see high-end equipment industrial park terminal. Let me make it bigger for you. $8 million, Q3. We can see some sort of terminal depot for $6 million, Q4. So these packages haven't been advertised yet, right? I mean, if you're interested in Machang East Depot, Xinghui Community North Terminal Gaofeng Passenger Hub Station, I mean, there's business. There's $6 million for you right there. Oops, uh-oh. I hit the wire of this laptop, and now the screen has gone off. Hopefully they can address that for me in a minute. But I'll keep talking because I like to talk in the meantime. I don't know what happened to the wire. But IT guys, if you're in the back, there we are. Okay, we're back. Oh, that's not mine. Anyways, the point is you can, on your phones, you can do this same thing, right? Search for procurement plan, look through it, and in this particular project, if my screen ever comes back, there's like 20 or 30 packages here, 9 pages of packages that are still to be tendered, okay? So these are all packages. He's walking up. I must have done something bad. These are 9 pages of packages that you can access, and I'll show you in a minute once the screen is back on, you know, where they actually go when it comes to the individual tenders, because that's the procurement plan, right? That's there we are. Okay. So that's how you see things are coming. So okay, you as a company, you said, I found my projects I want to go for. I found the package I want to go for. I really got my eye on goods phase 2, video-based road monitoring operation traffic flow. Maybe your company is sitting here, you create traffic flow collection CCTV equipment, and you're like, yes, I found it. This is my package, $3 million. I'm going to bid for this. Okay, great. You're going to bid for it. So Q4 2025. So you put that in your calendar. You say Q4, start monitoring the ADB website. Now, I have to warn you, those timelines do change. We're dealing with governments here. Things are things are fluid. They don't always follow things don't always go the way we hope that they go. So sometimes things are delayed. But eventually, that package will end up here on the tenders page of this project, okay? And here you will see all the tenders that already went out and the ones that are still live, okay? So at the moment, under this particular project, there's nothing live, but you can see the ones that went out, when they went out, and you can also see who won some of these previous packages, right? So you can start finding out who your competitors are if you're in this space. So dynamic traffic flow went to Qingdao Hisense Transtech Company. Maybe you're a competitor, maybe you're a collaborator with them, but if you know that they won, you know, there's opportunities there, right? Sometimes we call them hop-on opportunities. If it's a large contract, you might be able to negotiate your way into it as a subcontractor halfway through implementation, right? So just because you didn't win, don't rule it out. You could still potentially get yourself into the contract halfway through. This one was a $22 million contract, not insignificant, right? But you also start to learn more about your market, you know, who's out there, who's bidding, who's winning, and this is all very valuable business intelligence, okay? You can also find the same information if we go back to the Work With Us Projects and Tenders page on the 3rd tab, which I'm leaving last, Tenders, okay? So of course we've been through projects, we've been through documents and tenders. This is obviously where you can see live tenders, and of course you can also see the archive of contracts awarded, so you can, again, learn more about who's winning these tenders. But let's just, again, zero in to status active so we can see some live tenders, and we can, okay, right now on ADB's website there are 400 tenders active, things you can bid on today. You came here looking for opportunities. Here are 403, okay? So you can right now submit a bid for Bhutan's Green and Resilient Affordable Housing Project, Civil Works Package 9, if you would like to. And what is Civil Works Package 9? It is to construct RCC 166 housing units. I don't know what any of this means, but anyways, if you know what this is, you can build it, then bid for it, right? And these procurement notices tell you what the qualification requirements are. In this case, you have to have an annual turnover of BTN 372 million. You have to have certain similar construction contracts, and you have to bid through this link, okay? Because remember, these are government contracts financed by ADB. So you're not submitting your bid to ADB. You're submitting your bid to this agency in Bhutan, the NHDCL. They're the ones with whom you would sign the contract if you were going to bid for this package. So all the necessary information is here in this procurement notice, which was put up just yesterday, and you have until 28th of October to bid for it. So you came saying, where are the opportunities? Well, they're right here. You know, bid for them. National Gender Specialist, maybe a bit more relevant for some of the consultants in the room. This went up a few days ago, and the deadline is next week. So if you're, well, this one's national, so you have to be Uzbek or an Uzbek resident. But if you happen to be Uzbek and you work in gender, there's $14,000 available for you for 150 working days, give or take, right? I mean, these things can be negotiated, but this is an opportunity for you right here. International consultant, let's find one. Probably this one, information technology specialist. Oh, that's also national. Let's find one for the internationals. And the procurement specialist, okay, that's someone who can do my job. So what is this one for? This is Clean Energy Project. Again, it was published yesterday. It's due in a week. 80 working days to help design the procurement arrangements for what is probably going to be a clean energy project to be approved by our board later this year or next year. And you can see, again, who the contact person in ADB is. You can send them an email, ask them a question. If you saw them here at the BOF, maybe you can try and meet with them. You know, this kind of thing, right? So you can get a lot of intelligence from our website. You can see who the key people are. Maybe you don't bid for this, but you keep this guy's name in your directory so that next time you're here, you remember, oh yeah, that guy was tendering for a clean energy thing. Maybe I can meet him, shake his hand, and, you know, change business cards, and maybe next time he needs somebody, he'll give me a call, right? So this is how you find out who the key people are in ADB. You can see the key opportunities. And again, if you untick the active and you tick the awarded, you can find out who your competitors are, right? You can find out who's winning, who's losing, you know, how much are they winning? And again, there's opportunities there for you to try and jump into some of these ongoing contracts, right? So again, just as an example, let's find some big one. Okay, well, you know, in Kolkata, LC Infrastructure Projects, JV, won a $25 million contract to develop an S&D network in Julpia catchment, right? So if you want to work on that, maybe you can give this company a call and see if they're willing to subcontract you. Maybe they need some extra hands, right? So there's always opportunities, even in awarded contracts, if you're resourceful about it. You can also see a kind of downloadable archive. If you click here, you can get more information on the shortlisted consultants also here. So yeah, a lot of great stuff available for you. Of course, you have to make the effort to read and you know, develop your business intelligence. You have to be selective. You know, obviously you can see from the numbers at play, you know, 11,000 tenders. You can't read all of these things, right? Even if you have a full-time business development person, you can't be bidding on everything. It's not feasible. It's not practical. So you really have to pick your battles. You have to know your sector, know your countries, and, you know, be strategic with how you approach your opportunities. Do your networking, because if they know your firm, if they know who you are, both ADB and the government, you know, again, find out which agency of the government you'd be working with. Try and go to the country, try and meet the government agencies before the tender goes live so they know who you are, so they have your reputation. These can all help you start winning these contracts, okay? Now, I know we're almost out of time, so before I wrap up, I just want to show you a couple other good bits of the website to help with your business development journey. At the very bottom of any page of the website is this thing called subscriber services, okay? This is quite useful. You can put in your email address and you can get a daily email with the new procurement notices that are going on to our website every day, okay? So if you put your email in and you make sure that this one is turned on, then every morning you'll get an email from the ADB Business Center with any new procurement notices for your information. Now, I can't vouch that it's perfect, so I would still go to the website and double check. Maybe sometimes it doesn't always push into the email, but it's okay most of the time, okay? So this is a good kind of light touch way. You get an email every morning. You can see if there's anything new and relevant for you in there. But if you've turned everything on, it can be easy to miss because you'll also be getting all of our other stuff in that email too, right? So if you want to be really laser focused, maybe turn everything off except the procurement notices so that that's all you see. Of course, if you want to see the rest of it, by all means, but you just might miss it in the email otherwise. You can also do something similar with CMS. In the next session, the CMS people will tell you how to set up the weekly email from CMS for the consulting opportunities. But that's a weekly email, okay? So that's once a week on a Sunday. You get the email from CMS showing you all the consulting opportunities that were published that week. But the problem with the weekly email is if the opportunity was published on a Monday and the deadline is, say, 7 or 14 days, and you don't get the email to the Sunday, you've already lost 6 days of time to put together your CV, right? So I would still be checking CMS more regularly than once a week if you're keen on some of these opportunities, because if it's being published on a Monday, you might not get the email till the Sunday in the next week, and then you've lost some time to prepare, right? So just bear that in mind. CMS is an old system. It doesn't do daily emails. We're going to replace CMS in a couple of years with a new system. Hopefully then it would do daily emails, but at least our website does daily emails, so I'm not saying we're perfect here. Another final thing I would recommend, apart from the subscriber services, is, of course, to follow us on LinkedIn. So, of course, we have the Business Center, but we also have two useful groups. Oops, linkedin.com. Again, I'm not signed in here, so it might not work for me. That doesn't look like it. Let me see if I just ADB Consultants Network, LinkedIn. Hopefully, if you're not a member of the ADB Consultants Network group, okay, IT security, thanks a lot. Thanks, buddy. I'm not a robot, no. No, I don't want to pick boats right now. Anyways, okay, let me just go back and sign in. But can I turn the screen off for a minute, please? Wait, I'll unplug this so that you don't see my password. Sorry, I mean, I trust you, but I don't trust you that much. I haven't met all of you, so. If I remember my password, I haven't had to sign in to LinkedIn for a long time. Let's see if this works. Let's do a quick secure. Oh, it's going to make me do boats again? Come on now. Protecting my account. Oh, this is such a pain. Okay, sorry, IT security has become a real challenge to the world, just in general. Like, it's getting out of control. So let's not do that, and let's just conclude. But I'll tell you that please go to LinkedIn on your phone, search ADB Consultants Network, and search ADB Suppliers Network. And these are two groups with several thousand members. You can join them, and you can connect with people like you in the room and say, you know, tender X has gone up, I'm looking for a team leader, message me. Or tender Y has gone up, I'm a gender specialist. If you're a firm putting together a team, please message me. So, the Consultants Network has like 9,000 members. The Suppliers Network has 2,000 or 3,000. So they're good communities, okay? Sometimes people spam in it, and I try and delete the spam because I'm the moderator. So please don't spam. Try and just post relevant business opportunities stuff in there. Don't go crazy. Don't post 3 times a day. Don't post every day because I'm going to probably tell you to stop posting. But, just keep it civil, keep it professional. Once a week or something you want to post something, that's good. And it's a good resource to, again, connect with fellow consultants and contractors like yourselves. So I hope that was helpful. I've talked myself a bit hoarse, but if you do have any questions, I mean, we're into the coffee break time now, but I'm happy to stay and answer them. You can go get a coffee and come back and we can have a chat, or you can we can wrap it up now, but I didn't see any hands go up. I mean, if you'd like to ask any questions, by all means. Otherwise, I'm hoping I was either as clear as day or as clear as mud, hopefully the former. So appreciate your time this afternoon. Best of luck with your business journey with ADB. We're always here to help as the procurement department, to answer your questions, to deal with your complaints, and to otherwise hope that we can convert you from opportunity to contract, because we do want new suppliers in ADB. We do want fresh blood. We need innovation. We need new solutions. The board of directors is always coming down onto us, do more with less, do it better, do it faster. So of course, what do we need for that? We need new ideas, new people, fresh blood. So by all means, don't think that because you haven't done business with ADB in the past, it means you will never do business with us in the future. There are opportunities for you. We welcome new bidders. Of course, you have to, build your way in. It's not a cakewalk. You can't sign a contract with us tomorrow, but you'll get there if you're persistent, okay? And we're here to help you with that. If you're in Uzbekistan, come and say hi. I'm happy to meet you. And otherwise, have a great fair. It was a pleasure. Thanks, everybody. And I'll be here for a while. And say hi. Thank you.
Having a great time at the ADB Business Opportunities Fair? Let us know. Share your photos, videos, and takeaways from the event. Post on LinkedIn using the hashtags ADB BOF 2025, ADB BOF at the moment, and work with ADB. Reach out and connect with fellow participants and changemakers. Take a photo at our photo wall and introduce yourself with the hashtag ADB BOF My Intro and ADB BOF at the moment. Share who you are, what sector you work in, and your experience. Use the hashtags to find others with shared goals and explore business opportunities together. We can't wait to see and hear your stories. Enjoy the rest of the Business Opportunities Fair.
I cannot overstate how important it is to ADB to strengthen quality, increase local content and labour participation, and build local capacity. So thank you, and I wish you a productive and successful Business Opportunities Fair.